What's up, Philadelphia sports fans? Welcome to the War Room. I am Anthony Pinto. We are War Room Philly. Good to see you guys already in chat. Here it is on baseball's eve. We coming in tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Perfect start time, if you ask me. Perfect start time. 4 o'clock opening day. It's right there in the middle where hopefully you can start out of work a little early, and this is ideal. You get an inning or two of Fransky in LA on the radio, then you get home, you watch it on the rest of the game on TV. An opening day, in my opinion, you want to catch a little bit of the radio. Maybe I'm old school. Obviously, radio has always been one of my many passions. But in my opinion, just being here in LA, in Philly, having LA and Fransky, how can you not love it? And what up, Murph? What up, Joe Hunter? Again, I saw you guys in chat already before the show started, and I knew it was going to be a good one. But yeah, this is, people are asking you today at work, how you doing? I'm like, it's Christmas Eve. I get to open 162 games of my favorite sport come tomorrow. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and what makes this year so beautiful, special, fun. The off season was so short, coming off of an amazing 2022 season. A 2022 season that we fell 2 games shy of the ultimate goal. But I think it set the standard of things to come. So we'll talk a lot of baseball tonight. We got Sixers action. Yeah, I had to reluctantly turn off the TV. 39-37 currently. So we got Sixers action as well. We'll talk a little bit of Eagles. We can talk Kelly Green being a thing. If you're gonna be buying a Kelly Green jersey, who you getting? I want to know that. I think I'd probably go AJ Brown. That's probably where I'm thinking right off the bat. My first one. I got a Devontae Smith. I have a Chris Long, and in my opinion, that represents defense still. My Chris Long Super Bowl jersey. Still might get a Super Bowl jersey from last year. It's not out of the question as well. But the Kelly Green, it's, look, I like it. I am Midnight Green over Kelly Green. I've always said the ideal world would be Midnight Green, but that 90s Eagle logo. That 90s Eagles logo is the creme of the crop. Kelly Green, Kelsey Murph. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, the one thing, if I go Kelsey, he's like the old school Eagle. I thought about it. And I also thought about getting a Kelsey for last year's Super Bowl, because I think Kelsey with a Super Bowl patch would be nice. But then I thought, because I overthink, I don't know that I want Kelsey with the patch that we lost. Like, I got Jamie a Hurts, because in my opinion, because I also had the same debate in my head, because Jamie said either a Kelsey or a Hurts. It's a smart gal, other than being with me. So I already had this debate, and I'm like, well, here's the thing. Yeah, it's the one we lost, but Jalen Hurts balled out, right? So that was his kind of statement game to the entire NFL world and his doubters. And then also, as Joe Hunter just pointed out, Yeah, you get a little more longevity. But see, the thing is, I don't fret over my guy not being here. Like my Chris Long jersey's never going out of style. Yeah, he was here 1 year, but that jersey's never going out of style, and I won't let anyone tell me it. Like there's certain player, a Kelsey jersey will never go out of style. So yeah, he might only be here 1 year, but Jason Kelsey jersey will that'll you can wear that in your casket and it'll look good. the fumble, the fumble and the holding call. Yeah, no, look, and look, the fumble happened, right? But outside of that, that's like, no, I don't want to. That was like Jalen Hurts threw a one hitter in that Super Bowl. So yeah, that fumble, the fumble and that holding call ultimately is why the Eagles. I still don't like to talk about it. So that's kind of what's on the table tonight, and we could take it as it is. It's jazz from here on out. We can continue this Eagles talk as it seems like that's where we're on. As the Sixers progress in the game, maybe you guys can keep me updated. Otherwise, maybe I should default to having that on my screen right here. 44-39 now. So, but yeah, getting back to just to wrap up. I saw a hot take and a half. I hate to have to pull up Facebook on my computer. Let me do this though. I saw a hot take and a half, and I wanna find the exact outlet from my co-host Keith Malashevsky. Says spicy take, Kelly Green isn't cool and it's only popular for nostalgia's sake. So in my opinion, Keith has dealt with too many people who don't like Midnight Green, and that's why his take is spicy. And I've heard that. I've heard the people that don't like Midnight Green, and that, in my opinion, is the true spicy take. But Kelly Green looks damn good. And as an alt, I love it. Now, two things. One, I kind of wish they would do the white Kelly Green jerseys so that you have an alternative away jersey. I know it's not happening. But if you had that and then the black, the blackout as your kind of your home alternative, I think that's the win-win-win. That being said, you can still wear the blackouts on the road because Dallas, you can always do it against Dallas. Yeah, my color grew watching Jaws. Yeah, and again, in my opinion, it really, I guess it does matter. Like, I guess it does really matter when you grew up, but like ultimately, it's the Midnight Green is more modern and both look good. But I'm very happy that we're getting this as an alt, and the one thing, since I know we're not gonna get the white on Kelly Green, the one thing I will say is it's got to have the eagle on the sleeve. The last time we got these back, and if you look at all of the photoshopped pictures, they got the ones from like 2010 is when I think the Eagles wore them. With Mike Vick was on the team. I even think they may have wore those in the playoffs that year. I don't want that version back. I'll take it if I have to, but I would like to see almost like a, not just bringing back an old jersey, but like making a new one, but with the Kelly Green jersey colors and that logo. What I think is maybe we'll get a little bit more of my last statement, but it'll be either no logo or the new eagle. I don't know. I could see them. I could see them almost borderline messing it up for some people. I'm open to it no matter what. But yeah. But hey. Big Jeff took ownership and made us all love the Eagles more in his Midnight Green. Yeah, and that's, look, at the end of the day, as long as they're winning, it really doesn't matter. But that's Keith's stance. Will they win in Midnight Green? They never won in Kelly Green. Which again, I don't need to put the colors against each other. I never want to go back to Kelly Green as the full time, but I love it as an alt. I sure do, and it'll be cool to see what they roll out. I think that's why we got the new text last year that none of us were too fond on. I think we'll see that text on these jerseys, and that's why I think it'll be maybe not a throwback, but an homage to a throwback. I think it'll be like a new jersey, but we'll see. We shall see. Um, but yeah, getting back to it, as far as current players go, could be AJ Brown, could be Jason Kelsey, could be Brandon Graham. I was thinking of Brandon Graham might be nice in the Kelly Green. So it'll be fun to see what comes out. Hopefully we have choices. Sometimes Fanatics is the only way you can get things, and you can only pick 2 players, and you're SOL if you want something else. Or you got to drive to Lancaster or the city to go to one of the store shops. So, who knows? We got in from Facebook from Adam Bloom saying Josh Sweat. I like that. I like this. Josh Sweat is one of those that could potentially, at the end of his career, you say might never go out of style, depending on how these next few years go. Josh Sweat could be another one that you say it never goes out of style. Fletcher Cox, another one. But yeah, so where are we at on the Sixers too? I'm gonna keep an eye on that. 48. So it's not halftime yet. But yeah, I guess just before we get onto it, what did we miss? We talked to Zeke last week. If anyone wasn't here, let me know. And yeah, that's, again, you can say that as many times as you want. But Fletcher Cox does not blow. He's here on a bargain, and having him not here would mean one more hole on this team. So that's just a bad take. He had. Let's look it up. How many defensive tackles? Look up defensive tackle. So you had Chris Jones, who had, hold on, before I look at the wrong, he had 17 and a half. That's your outlier with 17 and a half. Outside of that, if you look at defensemen, your next highest defensive tackle in sack totals, which shouldn't even matter, but let's just go off of that, Javon Hargrave with 12. You go down, and Fletcher Cox has 8. So Javon Hargrave is, with 12, has the 12th most in the NFL last year. Fletcher Cox had 8. On an offense or on a defensive line that literally set records last year. So this whole thing that Fletcher Cox is bad is it's a false statement. Not to mention defensive tackles. What did the run game do to get to the Eagles last year? Nothing. They have had, before Fletcher Cox, the Eagles defense, it was glaring against the run. Since he's been here, which has been a long time, you don't hear that anymore. So I digress, as I do best. But no, Fletcher Cox, on the number that he is here at, which is not, it's actually under 13. And And again, you could say it's some bargain because it's a lot of money to us. Look, he got offered more by the Jets. So the net or the market told you he was worth more, and you got him here for less. And he hasn't been hurt, so that's again just false statements all around. But moving on, back to the Sixers. It's almost halftime. We're down 10. I don't know if you guys know. Tomorrow's opening day, which is pretty freaking cool in my opinion. So let's talk a little. Let's start talking some Phillies baseball, and I want to start rolling back and looking through some of the discussions. And the biggest one, when asked, was, "What's your prediction for wins?" And we got a lot of them. We got a lot of predictions. So let's start just reading through some of these numbers for the Phillies, who have lost Rhys Hoskins in very recently. So at least for me, it knocked my number down. But let's see where Phillies fans are at, because you would imagine that a Rhys Hoskins injury probably puts a little sting, but then there's always that opening day optimism, and you might just look at, oh, well, last year they had 87 wins, so, they're so much better this year, so they're 90 something. But let's go through it. We got from JC League 88, Mike Salomon 95. I hope you're right. I don't think so, but I hope you're right. If they are at 95 wins, it means that they went out and got, it means they got a first baseman. And a damn good one. 87, third in the East. That's from Mark Whitaker. Third in the East probably can still get you in the playoffs. And it all comes down to being top 6 like we saw last year. Probably going to finish second. This is from Sean Curran. Probably going to finish second and get like 95, 96. I hope you're right. 80. See, this is where I thought people would be. Maybe a little lower. This is from Mike Yoder. 80, and that's if the Phillies sign Rhys a backup for April to July. Wait, what? Division is going to be tougher this year. I'm confused by the Rhys comment here. I don't know if Mike Yoder missed the Rhys Hoskins injury, or because he says April to July. Rhys isn't coming back this year, so that's why your timetable is throwing me off. They do have a backup for Rhys. His name's Derek Hall. You might need a starter full time now. But moving past that and just back to it, 80. Division is going to be tougher this year. I see 2 less wins against Atlanta and the Mets. I want to say 84, but I'm settling in on 80. 80 will not make the playoffs. And then he comments on his own comment and says, I'll say 90 if they sweep the Reds to open the season at home. I don't know how a sweep accounts for 10 wins, chat, but all right, Mike. All right, Mike. From David Schwartz, Parkwood represent, 93, second in East, first wild card spot. Matt Snyder, 91, John Deasing, 90, Bob Kantz, 88 wins, second in the East, first wild card spot. 91 from Katrina. Edward Abel says 92, and he's already in chat, but Ryan Murphy says 91. And speaking of chat, he says until Bryce gets back. Murph. About okay. Yeah, maybe he just wrote the wrong name, or maybe autocorrect got on him. Yeah, but again, the signing a backup, we have Derek. Like we, either way, it's a little confusing, that comment, and then his follow up doesn't add up. So if they sweep a bad team at home, I guess he's going to one of the games in the home opener, so he's like, oh well, if I'm there now, I'm gonna be more excited. But yeah, I disagree. No, I got you. I feel you, Murph. I appreciate you trying to clarify too. I wasn't arguing with you. I was arguing with Mike, I guess. I don't know if arguing is the right word. But yeah, we have the comments here. Greg has them at 90. Kevin Christian has them at 86. Keith has them at 93, and I have them at 89. My 89, I think, still gets them in the playoffs. I think that lands them a wild card spot. I think they were going to compete for the division, but probably win a wild card if Reese was here. I think without that, they are a wild card team. And then it comes down to how you can play in the playoffs. Murph says, Trey Turner and a nasty bullpen. This team is going to win games. I think this team still is better than last year. I think the competition is more tough, but I think ultimately they will be in a better position than they were last year. It really comes down to beating some. Your division's gonna be. Your division games are less this year, and your schedule is going to be a lot more spread out. So now it comes down to A, winning the division games that you're supposed to win, but B, winning these American League games against the scrub teams, when they're presented to you. Or forget American League, but American and National League when you can take on a scrub team. Give me a second. They were awful against bad teams last year. The Cubs in particular. And look, ultimately, all you got to do is be the top 6. But I guess just to stick with cliches, it would help to beat the bad teams. That's for sure. For certain. Turner lights my fire. Hope Harper back hitting in the middle of the May. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll get back that soon. But the sooner you can get him in the lineup and as your designated hitter, the better. Trey Turner might be a really good bet for an MVP this year. If you're into futures or that kind of thing, going and laying down some money on Trey Turner is not a bad idea this year. I think the Rhys Hoskins injury only... I said it before this, but I think it may only help that cause. So yeah, I'm extremely high on Trey Turner. Murph, you saw it. I said get him for the anytime home run tomorrow. Yeah, you see, I already told you that one. That's the one you put a couple, you put a bucket two on it. Say it. Enjoyed watching him in the Classic. Yeah, Trey Turner has already made us explode out of our chairs, and he hasn't played an official game as a Philly yet. Tell me you didn't get up during that grand slam. I mean, some of these guys are already Philly heroes, and he hasn't even played a game in the uniform yet. It's fantastic. Schwarber did his thing. I mean, the Phillies came out, and no matter where they played, they showed up on the world stage. everyone. I mean, even former Vance Worley didn't embarrass himself out there. The Vanimal. Should we bring back the Vanimal and should we bring back the Vanimal as some rotation to help with the 6-man rotation this year? um, excuse me. Okay, and the next one. The next one we have, which we got significantly less answers on, which is, who do you guys seeing as the primary closer this year for the Philadelphia Phillies? Or maybe not the primary closer, but who's going to lead the team in saves at the end of the year? Kimbrel, Soto, Sir Anthony, Alvarado, someone else. We had from Josh, Sir Anthony. From Steve Rush said Soto with 28. Sir Anthony from Joe Hunter. I would say it's going to be somewhere in between Alvarado and Sir Anthony. I think Alvarado will probably end the season. With the most saves. And I say that because I'm still not sold on the health and longevity of Sir Anthony. I got to see it first. Hopefully I see it this year and he's the bona fide closer. Yeah, Sir Anthony, I hope, as from Murph. I could tell you one thing. Kimbrel's my 6th inning guy. If we're banking on Kimbrel to get saves, whew. Now if he's getting them and making me make that statement look stupid, then okay, that's fine. We take those. But if it's what we've seen from Craig Kimbrel more recently, I don't really want to see all that much of him near the 9th inning. I want to see him more as my 6th, or my 9th inning in non-save situations. Soto had, I think, 30 last year for the Detroit Lions. He had 11 losses, though, which tells me he was their guy. Without digging into the Lions' whole staff and numbers, it tells me that he was their guy, and they ran him out there. So 30 saves last year on a bad team, but I think the Phillies leader on the staff was 17 or 12. It was a much lower number. So it'll be interesting to see who's playing first tomorrow. It'll be Derek Hall from what we've heard. I don't. Let me check the pitching matchups. So against DeGrom, yeah, DeGrom it'll 100% be long. It'll be Derek Hall. I don't know why I didn't remember that off the top of my head, but bear with me, chat. That's when you have a co-host and they know it. But tonight you were my co-host, and for the record, Murph was on it. So thank you, Murph. But yeah, DeGrom, Derek Hall will be not only will be in your lineup, but I mean, we've seen Skip put him like when Derek Hall made his major league debut, it was in the 4 hole and it paid off. So you okay, I always forget Hall like Greg. Yeah, that's why Greg likes him. And I even think we've had this in the past. I think Derek Hall's wife, his name is Ashley, so Ashley Hall, which is also Greg's wife's name. But yeah, long ball Hall. I mean, look, we've talked about Derek Hall in last week's show, which is, and this is not a slight to Reese. This is only a compliment to Hall. Most teams, when they would lose a Reese Hoskins, would be really scrambling. The Phillies have Derek Hall. The Phillies have a guy who I predict. I literally joined the stream the second you mentioned my name. What up, Greg? What up, Greg? Yeah. See, you can never be too safe in here. Can never be too safe. But yeah. Now, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see Derek Hall, putting up 20 to 30 home runs this year. Now, Reese had 30 last year. I would say on a contract year, he was going to put up 35, 40. Most teams, just from a numbers standpoint, would be crippled losing that. The Phillies, with Derek Hall, they're not scrambling. Now, they're going to miss Reese in all of his intangibles. They're even going to miss his defense with when you see some of these plays that Derek Hall might make. But, and ultimately we talked about this again last week, but if he's to lose his job, it's not going to be because of his bat. It's going to be because of his glove. So that is his task. But as far as just looking at this from a numbers and in particular a powers numbers thing, the Phillies aren't going to be crippled because of that. So we'll see. And yeah, he'll be in the lineup tomorrow. I would say I wouldn't be surprised if he's batting fourth. It depends on how much faith he wants to show in Castellanos or Bohm. I mean, Derek Hall could be fit for the cleanup tomorrow. So yeah, it's gonna, it's a fun one, and you got Aaron Nola on the mound. By the way, speaking while Greg's here, today it's still a good day to extend Aaron Nola. Am I wrong, Greg? Am I wrong? Really wish we kept Segura at second. I do not. I absolutely do not. I would much rather Bryson Stott. And I would much rather Trey Turner. So absolutely not. Thank you for your service, Gene. Loved you. Salud. Do not need you back. Not when we have. It was just one of those things. Look, and this is not to knock Gene, because I tend to think I was one of the bigger Gene guys. Greg, you might be. I feel like you and I even every now and then kind of like not argued, but I'd be like, I feel like you're too down on Gene. I just, it was just one of those circumstances where there were just so many primetime shortstops that bringing Gene Segura back wouldn't have been the move. It would have been a disappointment. And not only did the Phillies make the best move that they could, but they didn't make the right move. They made the best move. There was 3 right moves, but they made the best of those right moves in getting Trey Turner. So, yeah, Gene Segura will be missed, but then you'll remember that you have Stoddard at second now, and I think he's going to flourish. Derek Hall grades out as a better defender at first base, by the way, by a pretty good amount, albeit a very limited sample size. Okay, we'll see. That's just look. I'm not gonna act like I watched Derek Hall in the minors. All I'm doing is reading the book on him, and I've been told that he can make Reese look good. So, and again, that's to me, Derek Hall can become a potential everyday first baseman if he can, one, be consistent with the glove, and then obviously, and this isn't breaking news, but if he can hit left-handed hitting as well. So which I think can come around, and again, I would prefer that over platooning Bohm from back and forth. I realize Sosa, his defense is better. I still worry about moving Bohm around, letting that getting into his head. Just again, going off of things that we heard last year. When Bohm started to thrive, Thompson kind of was like, I'm just going to leave him there and let him get comfortable. Now maybe the answer is, hey, he's comfortable, and if that's the case, and Thompson wants to put, Topper knows way more than me, right? So I'm willing to let him, kind of do his job. But I would like to keep Bohm at third. You get Derek Hall there as your everyday guy. Now, every now and then he might need a spell, and you got to do what you got to do. Put Bohm over there to help the team. And then you get Sosa out again. And Sosa's effective against left-handed hitting. But he's going to just be the get him over guy. Sosa's, not a power hitter. And I kind of want to keep the power stacked throughout this lineup, which Derek Hall gives you a little bit more. Reese was a -9 outs above average in first base at 2022. Hall was 0. Okay. Bohm needs to stay at third for now. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just saying too. But yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. Greg, we were talking earlier about your 90 wins. We mentioned that. We talked about, we were going through, we've actually been rolling through all of the questions that you brought up. So while you're here, and since you got to go, I'll give Greg a little shout out for these topics tonight. But yeah, go Phils. Second in the division ahead of the Mets. That you haven't revealed until just now. And back to the NLCS at least. I like that. Now, I knew the 90 wins, but I didn't know you were going with the second in the division ahead of the Mets. So Greg has the Marlins winning the division, which is kind of whack, but all right. And then obviously the Braves. We kid. And back to the NLCS at least. I love it. Yeah, I guess I haven't really said how far. I got them going to the, I said I had them 87 and making a wild card, but I never really revealed further into that. Mets bullpen is trash and will cost them. They finished with 89 wins. You got them at 90. I got the Phillies at 89 wins too. So even in my scenario, the Phillies could be second by that number. But yeah, moving back to where the hell is it? Facebook. Thank you, Greg. Have a good night. Flyers. Kelly Green. Oh, we haven't talked about the Phillies trade tonight either. I was telling the boys I found it out in a really weird way, but I found it on scrolling through War Room Phillies Instagram, and it was the A. I follow the A's on that, and they popped up. We have made a trade with the Phillies, and it caught my attention. I was like, wait, what? But yeah, the Phillies bring in center fielder Kristen Pache. And look, it's a guy that I'm not going to act like I know a ton about. But what I do like is A, he's young. B, he's a center fielder. And this could mean that Dalton Guthrie is probably sent back down. But looking at his numbers, bats for 166 last year, so hopefully he's a fielder. Let's see here. Stolen bases, only 2 stolen bases, but on the A's, but all right, this is a guy that it's you gave away nothing, and you might have come up with your backup center fielder for him. We'll scout him more as we go on, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know about a guy I don't. But I will tell you that I don't know about him. So we'll see. I read somewhere. Yeah, Matt Snyder says Guthrie will be sent down. John Giesing says I like the move. Big Sane comes from probably Greg. Former top prospect. That's true. He was and this is from actually Greg on our site, but he is a Braves former top prospect. So says here in Greg's scouting report that he's very good defender and a right-handed complement to Brandon Marsh, which is what you want. You want a spell to your guy. So yeah, it probably does mean like Matt Snyder says, Dalton Guthrie will probably be sent down. But yeah, Bobby Russo saying that he really hopes Scott Kingery made the team. Me too, low key. It would have been nice to see him one more year, but the Phillies have been trying to shoehorn him into a position that, quite frankly, he's not meant to play in center field. And he's just not good enough to make it on our infield. It would have been nice to see, and especially if he could have succeeded with the bat a little bit, but yeah, it's just, I think that these are, and it doesn't mean that he can't surpass him or anything like that, but it does mean that there's another hump in front of him. Low risk, high reward from Dave Volker. I like this move from John Russo. Yeah, can't really complain. Screw Kangaroo. Can't hit the side of a barn. Yeah, again, he was hitting like 375 in spring training, though, but we all know it's spring training. I think right now, what it ultimately comes down is his bat is unproven, and his glove isn't good enough at the positions of need to fit, or more specifically, his arm for center field. Heard that, by the way. And then as we can wrap it up, and we can have a little bit of like, this could be the fun topic to close the night out, but this was a good one, again, by Greg. And he said, this is something I just want to hear from chat too, while we got some friends and fam in chat. What is your greatest non-World Series related Phillies memory of all time? For me, I didn't even have to think twice about it. It right into my head. Not non-World Series year. So I went no World Series years at all. But honestly, even if you included last year or 2009, still, best non-World Series moment had to be Roy Halladay's no-hitter in the playoffs. I saw someone in chat. Actually, it was on my Facebook. I think it was either Scott or Kevin Morano. Said that their favorite was Roy Halladay's perfect game, which again, it's up there for me because, and since Joe Hunter's here, he was throwing me a kegger at the Mountain House, and we were watching that game as a celebration of my 21st birthday. I had some friends up at the Mountain House. Oh, it was Bob Snyder. I knew they used it was someone with a fake name from Parkwood. I knew it was someone with a fake name from Parkwood on my Facebook. Good luck, Murph. But yeah, it's our outfield is set this year. Don't care if Harper plays outfield this year. Yeah, I think I wouldn't expect Harper in the outfield this year. So then you have Castellanos and Schwarber. And then you have it'll probably be, the caveman giving those guys a spell. And it looks like now you'll have Marsh and Pache as your center fielders. So just going back to this one, Roy Halladay. That's me. Bedlam at the bank from Rick Reinhardt. Rich Reinhardt, I'm sorry. Awesome answer. Greg Deegan says Game 6 Braves 1993 without a doubt. Also being a kid and attending the Philly Fanatic birthdays. There you go. Reedus Howard says, I'd have to say signing Bryce. If a signing counts, sweet, I'll allow it. George Saltner says Chase Utley, world bleeping champions. He didn't read the rules. Brian Brown says, easy for me. Personally witnessing no-hitters by Terry Mulholland and Kevin Millwood at Veterans Stadium. Also, Davey Johnson hitting a grand slam on my birthday in 1978 against San Diego. Both no-hitters were against the Giants. That's cool. That's cool to see a no-hitter in person. That's still... I think I've seen the Phillies get no-hit or close to it, but I don't think I've ever seen an actual no-hitter, especially not for the Phillies. We got James John. Every day I went to the game with family at Veterans State Stadium. That's a beautiful one. Heath Mullen, when the Phillies signed Bryce Harper, we got another one. Now, see, I would say that that's a World Series one, too, because I think signing Bryce Harper will one day lead to a World Series, but I'll allow it. From Nicholas Potter, excuse me. I mean, he's in chat so much, I'm going to mess the guy's name up. Seeing a lot of posts. Seeing the posts. Not seeing, I'm sorry. I can read, I promise. Seeing the post of Cliff Lee agrees to the deal with the Phillies at 2 a.m. I can tell you I was at a bar when that happened, and someone bought the entire bar shots. So that was pretty cool. I think I was at Walsh's Tavern in Warminster. It is a dive and a half. But that's where I was in my life at the time. You know, when you're 21, you can just get cheap drinks anywhere you can. James Bates says, day after my 9th birthday, May 17th, 1979, the Phillies beat the Cubs 23-22. Crazy. That is crazy. Edward Pulaski says, game 162 in 2000 and 7, gorgeous weather. CBP was going batshit even before the first pitch when the Marlins put up a 4 spot on Mets, solidified the MVP with his 20th triple. Rollins, that was. I missed that. Myers with the K to win the NL East. Best regular season game I've been to, and it's not even close. I was listening to that game across the river at Camden in the parking lot with Chris Sheldron, tailgating for Weezer and Angels and Airwaves when that happened. And they say marijuana affects the memory. How about that? But yeah, it's yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. I remember we could like see the fireworks coming from the stadium and everything. That was really cool. Really cool. That was a good game. As far as games that I was actually at, I gotta say this year, with Jamie clinching against the Braves. First time I ever been to a playoff game where they clinched anything like that. Yeah, that was really cool. So again, it may put it in the murky area of rules if we're going worlds. I think World Series more means 1980, 2008 from these rules, but I wanted to take out last year because last year's season was so special. And in 93 I was kind of too young to really remember. So, yeah. Everybody peeing on the fence at the 2008 parade. I was at the clincher versus the Dodgers with my dad, and that was epic. Although I went with Harry's call. Oh, yeah, that's right, Murph. Yeah, you answered that. You answered that on my Facebook. I think I should go to that for I really pull up my Facebook for this. But yeah, we got Chase Utley, You Are the Man. Yeah, and there's Bob. Matt Stairs, 2000. This is from Mike. Michael Harriman. Matt Stairs, 2008 NLCS against the Dodgers. Again, I told him, I was like, this is kind of not the rules, but it wasn't during the World Series. But in my opinion, I look at that Matt Stairs home run as a World Series moment. I told him he was kind of in the gray area there. Yeah, the Chase Utley, You Are the Man. Yeah, that's instant chills, no doubt about it. Yeah. Some fun baseball talk. Where are we at on the Sixers? Should I even look? 68, 66. All right. Murph, you ready for chills? Oh, hold on.
Come inside, you might hit him, and you also give him more of a pitch to hit. What they're hoping they did would freeze him with a strike on the inside corner.
Driven to deep left center field. This ball is extra bases. One hopping off the fence. Nunez scores. Rollins scores. Flying around third. Victorino. He scores a bases loaded double. Chase Utley. And the Phillies have taken a 5-3 lead here in the 7th inning. Big clutch blow by Chase.
This was not the right video.
Well, those bases loaded numbers just went up.
This is why you gotta check things.
Runs batted in now.
This is why you still got to hear Harry's voice though.
And Victorino, of course, at first.
Here.
for 40.
Driven to deep left center field. This ball is extra bases. One hopping off the fence. Nunez scores. Rollins scores. Flying around third. Victorino. He scores a bases loaded double. Chase Utley. And the Phillies have taken a 5-3 lead here in the 7th inning. Big clutch blow by Chase.
That was something to watch.
Right on the heels of J-Roll.
And Victorino, of course, at first base. That was something to watch.
Right on the heels of J-Roll. There goes Chase, and this is chopped to McBride, who throws it. Chase is going to keep going, and he's safe at home plate. Wow. Chase Utley, you...
All right, so I've ruined this, right? This is a total gaffe on my part. But let's pretend that this all hasn't happened, and now I can show it. I can show the right thing. Let's go back. I forgot. It's been a while.
A little bit, and he crushed that ball to left center. But that's a great job by Utley to get up on the plate a little bit and say, you're not getting me out of the way. And Victorino, of course, at first base. That was something to watch.
Right on the heels of J-Roll. There goes Chase, and this is chopped to McBride, who throws it. Chase is going to keep going, and he's safe at home plate. Wow. Chase Utley, you are the man. Wow, what a base running play after a bases clearing double, and the Phillies lead it 6-3.
And that's just great hustle. He's trying to steal third on that play.
I could listen to Harry talk all day. My night is run. Nick, we were just talking about you too, and then you came in the chat. What up, Nick? I was just reading your comment. I closed Facebook now. If you remember it, you can tell me. I was just reading and reacting to one of your comments on Facebook. But yeah, man. Phillies baseball tomorrow. Chat, are we ready? It's Christmas Eve. Tomorrow we start to open up gift 1 of 162 plus playoffs. Cliff Lee signing at 2 a.m. That's right. Yeah, I was saying I was at a bar when that happened, and the bartender it was not a crowded bar. It was not an expensive bar. The bartender gave everyone a shot because of that. So yeah, it was that was a cool one. The Cliff Lee signing was definitely, man, that 2009, and I'm not leaving. I really, the 2010 and 2011, like just bringing people in and this like building a super team. I mean, those teams on paper were the best Phillies teams of all time. And I mean, what, 2010 where they set the record for wins in a regular season? It's just a shame that 1-0. 2011, thank you. So, but yeah, guys, if you guys got any other final thoughts, whether it be Phillies, whether it be Sixers, whether it be Eagles, even if you just want to bring back some Jersey talks, bring it up now as we will start to conclude the show and kind of be able to watch some of the Sixers game, have some dessert, do the whole nine. I think one has the chance. I think this one has the chance. Yeah, this is a good team. I really do. This is a team that, again, it's coming off of expectations now. It's really coming off of expectations, and it comes down to how this team manages expectations, how this team manages already a massive bump in the road, how this team manages not only Rhys Hoskins, but Andrew Painter is not going to be available till July, maybe. Ranger Suarez is here. You know, there's already some bumps in the road, so it's gonna be a bit of a rocky start. But now we'll see how this team can manage adversity and expectations. I got them at 89 wins. I got them as a wild card team. Whether it be second or third, I'm not willing to make that bold of a call. I have them as a wild card team. We'll go from there, just like I did last year. So now it just comes down to enjoying baseball from here on out. And look, for as much as I was against it, as someone who tries to stay engaged for as much as the 162 as he can, I do kind of appreciate that baseball games are going to be not 4 hours anymore. And if they are 4 hours, it's, for lack of a better term, a reason. So you guys, I fought it tooth and nail, but now that it's here, I might as well embrace it. And there's gonna be some bumps in the road and some things that happen. Well, we'll complain about it as it comes, but ultimately, now that it's here, I see it as an evil. It was a necessary evil. It's like a speed limit. Although I don't agree with that because I break the speed limit all the time. It's like something like that where it's like it just people since the early 2000s really started to take advantage of the pace of the game. I could always remember like David Ortiz being the first one to do it a lot, where he would get out, take the batting gloves off every time. And I see it as an extreme measure to something that, needed something. So I do think that some of the rules will be tweaked as we move forward and maybe relaxed as we move forward seasons down the road. But we'll see how it is for at least right now. I'm excited that the sport that I love most, I don't have to spend 4 hours every day doing it. If a game goes that long here and there, it'll be because it's extra innings or because it's... And who knows, maybe the time clock alleviates the extra innings rules later in life. We'll see. But yeah, I'm really excited for this team this year. And I think that last year definitely left a bad taste in their mouth. And if you can get a revived Nick Castellanos, who we really haven't talked about much, and we probably should have talked about this show, with Reese going down, we spent more of the focus talking about Derek Hall, but we'll talk about Castellanos moving forward, and we got a lot of time to talk baseball. But we'll talk about how Nick Castellanos is going to have to be the next man up in Reese's absence. Alec Bohm, this lineup is going to, like I said, most teams would be crippled from a Rhys Hoskins loss. This team is in a weirdly decent spot given given how important Rhys Hoskins is to the Phillies. And again, first pitch tomorrow, 4:05. Everyone probably said, I got to leave work an hour early tomorrow. And then you hit the road. You get to listen to maybe an inning or two or so in the car on the ride home. You get that Fransky LA. And then you go home and you get to watch the rest on TV. It's perfect. 4:05. It should be mandatory 4:05 start times from here on out, even when they are here in Philly. Oh, I love the 4:05 opening day tip tomorrow. If I hear one more person bitch about that they're opening up against the Texas Rangers and not praising the fact that because they're opening up against the Texas Rangers, we have this absolutely perfect start time. I will lose my mind. Castellanos has to show up this year, living here for a full season. Love Castellanos. His baseball player will show up. Yeah. I mean, Castellanos' kid wears Blink-182 shirts, so obviously he's doing something right. Yeah, I'm a fan of his. Remember the whole when he got here? I didn't go to, I don't have a college degree. I get paid to hit dingers. Well, let's do it this year. I think Philadelphia has been very reasonable with Nick Castellanos. I think we've been very supportive given the situation. So I really do think, selfishly that he shows up this year. But also because I like the person, but more because I like the team. But yeah, don't be like, I didn't forget about him, and I know there's a lot of minutia that maybe we didn't go and dive into tonight, but it being a solo show is a little bit different of a vibe, and we should have some friends and guests back in the coming weeks. So yeah, we'll really start to dig in piece by piece with the Phillies, but this week in particular it was still kind of a big news week for other Phillies teams too, and we wanted to get a little bit of fun talk in for the Eagles before it gets too serious. So we had some jersey talk, so that was fun. Fun to think about how I'll spend future dollars on this franchise. But yeah, guys, we're an hour and 15. Every time I do a solo show, I aim for 45 minutes, and somehow y'all keep me here for much longer. But yeah, I just want to say, thank you guys all for tuning in, both live and on demand. Shout out to the YouTube crowd. If you're watching this live, make sure you go and head over to YouTube and follow my channel. Give a subscribe to that, as the more YouTube subscriptions we get, then we can be YouTube/War Room Philly, and that is a goal of mine. I want to have YouTube/War Room Philly at one point. So yeah, I just and then of course all the other socials at War Room Philly, Facebook.com/War Room Philly. Make sure you follow us there and get yourself involved in the chat. It's the best way to be involved in this show, if you can't watch us live, is you get involved in the Facebook comments. As you saw tonight, we ran through a shitload of them. So yeah, thank you guys for doing all that. And again, we'll be coming back next week talking all of these things. It'll be a fun one. But yeah, so with that, it is time to put a bow on this pretty little show. I'm gonna go watch the Sixers. Looks like I'm just in time to watch the fourth quarter. It's still a tight one. And look, now what it comes down to with the Sixers is, I know we kind of sped through them. We haven't talked much, but with the Sixers, when I'm going to really start to talk about them is when I see how they're playing in the first round. As bad or good as that sounds, these games, and this is my least favorite time in the NBA season. It's like last stretch of games before the playoffs start, because they're meaningful for seeding, but ultimately I just need my game, especially when it comes down to Joel Embiid and James Harden. I just need them to be healthy. I don't care about MVPs. I don't care about awards. I don't care about statistics. I need you guys to be healthy for a playoff stretch. So my final thoughts are, be healthy for this playoff stretch. Because for my sanity, I really want to see the Sixers get past the second round. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I am Anthony Pinto. With that, it is opening day tomorrow. If you're watching this on YouTube, it might be opening day today. Let's get excited. Phillies baseball is here. 1 of 162. Let's go. With that, I am Anthony Pinto, and we are out of here. Go Phils.